Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial on how to create a two-point perspective drawing in Autodesk Inventor. We've already made our names using a one-point perspective, and in this activity we're going to be having two vanishing points on opposite ends, and we're going to use that to create a two-point perspective of these 5 buildings over here. It seems a little complicated at first, but once we break it down, you'll see that it's not quite so bad. To get started, I'd like you to open up Inventor, create a new part, and then we're going to go to Start 2D Sketch and select the XY plane. Once you've done that, we're going to draw 2 vertical lines on opposite ends. So I'm going to draw one on this side, and then I'm going to draw one on the other side. And you want to make sure that these lines are vertical, so don't draw them horizontally or diagonally either. Once we have those 2 lines in place, we're going to drop a point on each of them. So I'm going to click on the point tool up here, and I'm going to drop a point on one line and then a point on the other. And the reason we're doing that is because this is a two-point perspective drawing. Now, when drawing a two-point perspective, we always draw the frontmost protruding side or edge first. So in this case, it's this line over here. And then every time we draw a vertical line, we connect the points of that line to the vanishing points. So I'm going to demonstrate that right over here. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see this better. I'm going to draw a line, a vertical line. And then I'm going to click line, click on the construction line option, and I'm going to click on the top of the line, move it over to the vanishing point and click there. And then I'm going to click on the bottom of the line and then move it to the vanishing point as well. Now once I've done that, I'm going to repeat the process with the other side. So click on the top of the line, move over to the vanishing point, and then on the bottom. Okay, so what we've just created is a type of wingspan that we're going to use to help craft the rest of the building. Now, we have this front edge, but let's go ahead and add in those 2 side edges as well. So because it's a two-point perspective, it's up to you to decide how far you want to go with it. I'm going to go maybe about, I don't know, an inch or so to try to give myself enough space for the other buildings. And I'm just going to draw a line straight down. Make sure it's vertical. Oh, and you might have noticed that I forgot to take off the construction line option. So just make sure that before you drop these off, you deselect your construction line. I'm just going to go make sure that's a vertical line, and then kind of go to this side here and make sure that's vertical as well. Okay, so I connected those. And then I'm going to use the construction lines to essentially help me finish crafting this building. So I'm just kind of clicking on the point of each to kind of craft the rest of this structure. Okay, so hopefully you can see that this here are the 2 sides of this building over here. If not, once we add in some windows, it might be a little bit more visible. So let's go ahead and add in these 4 windows on the top here. I'll leave these other ones for you, but let's add those in. And to do that, we're going to draw one edge of the window. Now I usually prefer to draw the edges that are like the furthest away from the vanishing points. So I'm going to draw this edge and this edge of the window. And then that's going to help us craft the rest. So I'm going to draw a vertical line over here, let's say. And then I'm going to draw another vertical line on the other side. Okay. And once again, what we just did was we drew a vertical line. So whenever you draw a vertical line, you want to then turn on your construction lines, and you want to bring the top point over to a vanishing point and the bottom point also over to a vanishing point. Okay, and we could bring it to this one as well, but because these windows are going to be on this side of the building, I'm not going to bring it over to the vanishing point on the other side. because it wouldn't actually like do anything. Okay, so now that we have those construction lines in place, they're going to actually help us draw the rest of these windows out. So I'm going to use the line tool, turn off the construction line, and I'm going to draw the thickness of one window there. And you could tell that I didn't quite go enough. It has to, kind of go at the top there. And then I'm going to draw the other window right over here. And once again, there is no measurements for this. All of ours are going to look slightly different. The main thing is that our lines are clean and that we're using the construction lines to help us build these windows. So everything should be moving towards a vanishing point. So like that window is now complete. That window is now almost complete. So what I mean by it should be going to a vanishing point is if I was drawing this window out and I decided to close it off horizontally like this line is not going to the vanishing point. It's just going on and on and on and on, like past the screen. So it has to be going to a vanishing point, which is why I'm closing it off, and it's why I'm using these construction lines. So that looks pretty good on that side. Let's go ahead and focus on this other side now. I'm going to draw the vertical lines in. Okay, and then I'm going to close off those two windows. So my mouse is kind of a little bit defective, which is why I'm clicking a few extra times. If you're wondering why it's not doing anything, it's because it has an issue with it right now. Okay, but that's the first window. And this is the second window. Okay. So now hopefully you can see that we have the two windows here, two windows there, and they're in the correct perspective over in the building. Now we could repeat that same technique to create the two windows on this side, but I'm going to kind of leave that to you, and I'm going to focus on this side building. I'm going to build it, and then after that, I think you'll be able to handle the rest, or at least give it a good attempt. Okay, so what do we know about this building? Well, first of all, it's on the same line as this front building, because if I move the mouse across, I notice that it's on that same line. Same with the windows. They're on the same line because when I move the mouse across, there's this little alleyway over here. There's a space between them, and this building goes up taller than the building next to it. It's taller than it, so that's just something to keep in mind. So back over at my sketch, I'm going to draw a line, a normal line, that starts on that same construction line, but it is taller than the other building. So let's just say it's, I don't know, this tall. Okay, so I just drew a line going that tall, and you might be like, okay, that's cool. Now remember, what did we just do? And if you just said in your head, well, we created a vertical line, that means we have to create construction points. So line, construction line, and then we're going to take that, and we're going to connect it to the vanishing point, and we're going to repeat the process. We're going to take this point, we're going to bring it to the vanishing point over there. It's okay if it overlaps. These are construction lines. They're like very noticeable. There's a very noticeable difference between object lines and construction lines. And then same with the bottom here, but this side's already going to that vanishing point. So let's just bring it over to this one over here. Okay, so it should look something like that. And then we're just going to go out a decent amount of distance on this side there. So I'm just going to use the line tool, take off construction lines, and I'm going to kind of draw in the side of that building. Okay, it should look something like that. I'm going to close it off now. That side goes there. This side goes here. This one is going to go, it's going to stop right at the top of that building because it's not going to go through the building. You know, it kind of goes up here and it stops at that point. It's doing the same thing over there. And then we're just going to kind of bring this one into the side there as well. Okay, so that's that side building over there. It's looking pretty nice, pretty neat. Let's go ahead and draw on these three arced windows. Now, drawing arcs in a two-point perspective can be a little tricky. So I'm not going to focus on the arc. I'm going to focus on what I can draw, which are these flat lines here. Okay, So let's start with the one on this side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a vertical line. And then I'm going to just use this construction line to help me build it up a bit. And I don't actually know the height of this line over here, but what I do know is that when I created this vertical line here, I can create a construction line to the vanishing point. So hopefully that's starting to make sense. Whoops, that should be a construction line. That every time you create a vertical line, you're allowed to put construction lines on it. And those lines are just helping you to guide the effect. Okay, so now I know how far I need to go. So I just go up to that line and I can stop. And then I'm going to draw in the other two if my mouse registers a click. So the issue with my mouse right now is that sometimes when I click, it will double click. So it's like if you double click fast enough, it will select, but then it will deselect. Like right there, it's selecting and deselecting really quickly. So it kind of makes me need to click a few more times. Okay, so I created the bottoms of all three of those, but we need to get that arc in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the arc tool, and I'm going to click on one end, click on the other, and then I'm going to go up just high enough so it's not like overshooting the side of the window, but it's kind of something like a nice round without getting like too round. So something like that, okay? I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. Okay, find that nice round area where it doesn't overlap the window. Something like that. And that's looking pretty good, but it still doesn't quite look right because it looks too sharp on these ends and then nice and smooth on the others. But it should kind of be like nice and smooth throughout. So we've already talked about using the fillet tool. We're going to use it on this as well, and it's relatively easy. But because all our sketches can be different dimensions, we got to kind of measure out the window first. So click on the dimension tool and click on the side of the window and read what the measurement is. Mine is 0.149, so I'm just going to say 0.15. And I'm going to then use the fillet, and in the box over here, I'm going to essentially do that number, but I'm going to divide it by 10. So since mine was 0.15, mine is actually going to be 0.015 fillet to start, okay? Because that's the measurement I got there. When I measured this line, I got 0.149, and I rounded it to 0.15. Okay, so I'm just going to make it 0.015. That 0 is very important. And then I'm going to click on the top line with that fillet tool active. And then if I hover over the bottom line, you should see that it will start to arc, okay? I'm not going to click on it just yet because while that's a decent fillet, it's not enough. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger now that I know it works. So I'll do 0.04 and I'll hover. It's too much because it doesn't show. 0.03 looks just right, so I'll click on it now, okay? So if your fillet does not show, it means it's too much fillet, okay? Or it's too little. You just have to get like that right amount. So in my case, I knew the starting number, so I was able to quickly apply that. And now I'm just going to click on the other two to make that on the other two as well, okay? So I'm going to kind of zoom out here and drop to there. Okay. So what we've done is we've essentially started this 2-point perspective drawing. I would like you to continue working on it. Think about the construction lines, think about what we did, and try to add in the additional detail. Try to make it as detailed as possible, but you don't need to write the puzzle thing over here. You can ignore that. And you don't need all these little crisscross lines in here. Just give me like vertical posts, and I'm okay with that, okay? Think about how you can make these overhangs, and then once you've done that, add some color to it or extrude it out and then add some color to it. Okay, you're going to have to kind of extrude things out at different layers so that like the effect pops out. But go ahead, mess around with it, and we'll see how everyone does. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, this is Mr. Z signing out. Peace.